and welcome to a new video. Today I'm starting my next reading vlog, which is to read SPFBO books for SPFBO9. So if you don't know, Cassidy from Goes with Cassidy is an official judge this year. So we are reading the semi-finalists to give her the, what's going to say, finalist from our batch that she's going to read to then choose one finalist to be in the finalist round. Oh my god, that was terrible explained. I'll leave a link down below to Cassie's video where she probably maybe explains it better, etc. But basically, I'm reading 10 self-published fantasy books. I'm reading 5 in this vlog and then 5 in another vlog which is coming later. So I'm gonna start today, and the first book I'm reading, I have it here on my Kindle. It would be really nice if you wanted to, you know, open. Lovecrafted by Raven's Dagger. I don't know anything about this. I'm just gonna pop a picture. I don't know if I will like it. I don't know anything. I think that, like, what's the scary part of a spit for you? Don't know what's gonna come in. I have 10 I'm gonna read. Rank, rate, review here in this vlog at least. You will see what I feel about and what I would say about them. But obviously I would say more about the plots when I have read more, but I'm not gonna start it now. I'm gonna start it when I go to work. So you should see me later for thoughts. It's really bright here. So yeah, see you soon. Hello. This apparently just became the place after my vlog forever, but it is the next day. I did finish Lovecrafted by Raven's Dagger, and I am going to talk a bit more about it now. So basically, this follows Abigail, who wants to start at the academy, but to go to the academy, you need to have a familiar. So she summons a familiar, which is not really allowed, but she summons one that is very, very powerful, that has a really, really long name, but they call her Dreamer. And the whole story is actually told from Dreamer's point of view, but in second person. So it's like you do this and this and this, you do this and this and this, which I sometimes think is an interesting choice. I feel like it always doesn't work for me, but that was how the book was told, so I couldn't do anything about that. Apparently, I read this in the acknowledgements of the authors in the end, is that this was a choose your own adventure story in the authors Discord, so people chose how the story was going to go, and that is why it was also told in second person, because that is, I think, normal for choose your own adventure stories. So that was an interesting thing to know. Definitely can make you think a bit about the structure of the story, because then, you know, other people have kind of chosen, I mean, I assume the author has like a certain direction in mind, but the audience has also kind of chosen where the story would go, which kind of also makes sense for how, like, I felt the plot for the story went a bit everywhere, because we changed directions a lot, and I don't think we followed like a concrete storyline. There's a lot of jumping back and forth. Basically, it's about Abigail and Dreamer, and also Daphne, who is Abigail's best friend, just forming a friendship bond and trying to start this academy. And yeah, the dog is tripping a lot around. The book overall is very, like, light-hearted and sweet. We follow, like, Dreamer, who kind of has a child's mind, but is very, very powerful. This is not an unknown trope in fantasy where we have, like, a really powerful, I would say, being, but having, like, a child's mind where, like, they don't understand, like, basic concepts and stuff. But there was just something about the undertone of the story that came across as creepy to me instead of being cozy. I think it was, like, to do with that Dreamer had, like, tentacles, and, like, the only thing Dreamer wanted was, like, cuddles and, like, pats. And it was just difficult, because it was just like, oh, I wrapped her with all my tentacles and, like, took my tentacles around everything. And I know, like, maybe that's my mind, like, Sandra, just because it's tentacles doesn't mean that it is necessarily dirty, but it just, like, had that undertone of, like, being humoristically dirty, but, like, still via from, like, a child's point of view. But it was also a bit disturbing, because this child obviously had a lot of, like, knowledge of the universe, but was stupid in other parts, and I was just a bit like, I wish actually that this child was more intelligent or something. It would have made me less uncomfortable, because if, like, a guy spoke to our main character, she would immediately think, like, oh my god, I want to mate. So it clearly, like, knows stuff, you know, but didn't know, like, other basic things. So I was just a bit like, okay. And then she went around telling everyone that they were, like, sleeping together, and, like, she wanted to sleep and cuddle, so everyone assumed they were having sex. And I was just like, okay. So, and I get that it's supposed to be something humoristic about this. It's kind of like an ongoing maybe joke, but for me it just came across actually as a bit creepy. We have, like, this really childish undertone of the whole story. Literally, the characters in my mind became, like, 13 years old. I actually don't remember how old they were supposed to be. Clearly older, because, like, she had a job and she rented an apartment, etc. So obviously they couldn't be 13. But I just like what I got from the story. I that literally became 13 years old in my mind, and then they went around and like had like sexual undertones, and I was like, it made me uncomfortable in my head. So it's because of like the tone of the story didn't match for me with like the subjects of the story, I guess, because I love a whimsical little middle grade and I love like a wholesome story, but the two parts of the story just didn't match for me. There was just a lot of the things in the story that didn't work for me, like I said, like the writing in general, it being told in second person. The characters weren't that great either. Like I didn't like love them. I think I liked Abigail the most, but I feel like also we forgot like other parts of the story. Like Abigail had a job, she went there once and then she never went back again, and I was just like, they literally were talking over and over of how poor they were and didn't have money for stuff, and then she never shows up at work again, and I was like, they just go to school, and then I went straight to bed, and I was like, don't you need to work? That stressed me out that she didn't go to her job again. And how the story really shifted, like in like the last part, we like had a completely different plot, and I was like, okay, where did this come from? I just wish it was a bit more consistent with that as well. The plus point is that it was queer suddenly. That was how they talked about it. Like they talked about it in a really roundabout way at first, and I was just like, what are we talking about? Why are we talking about gardening? What? Maybe that's like, again, an ongoing joke that I don't know about. I don't know references and stuff, okay? But plus point for that, I didn't know that it was gonna be a main FF relationship, so I love that. Also, like how they talk like really young people. So when like the relationship was starting to develop, it was like, I'm gonna take you on a date, and then it was like very like, yeah. So I was just like, are they 13? But yeah, that is overall thoughts. I'm not like, I didn't love it. It was a fast-paced read that like had a humoristic kind of writing, but just the story overall didn't work that well for me. I guess that is thoughts. I don't know how to review books. See if I can find my wheel. Did I make one? So if you see my wheel now, I have actually taken out one title because I'm getting that physically from the author, so I want to wait until that arrives to have it in my wheel. But let's spin. Oh, okay. So we got Regeneration. So this one is also one with a purple cover. It is by Cassie Grothman. And it says it is a YA urban fantasy full of action and found family. Found family is one of my favorite tropes. So there's that. And I'm excited to see what it will have. That's all I have to say. Because I haven't read it yet, so you get thoughts later. I'm gonna try to read the whole thing today as the day goes. So you shall see me then of what happens. Hello. So it is the next day. I wanted to vlog for ages, but Dad is making so much noise outside. I'm going to like a party thingy. But yesterday I did finish Regeneration, which was okay. I enjoyed it. So it followed Trish, who has like regeneration powers. She's actually one of the Fae, and her foster parents doesn't know about this. And then she's in this, I wouldn't exactly call it accident, but she's in this really dramatic thing happening to her. I don't want to spoil anything. She wakes up and things start happening. She needs to help kind of with this investigation using her Fae powers to get a certain something from the Fae people. And it goes out on this mission thingy while at the same time trying to keep a normal life with her foster parents. And then we go out and I was gonna say go on this mission, and it was very interesting. I really like the characters actually. They kind of grew with me, at least like the main character and her family. It was a very much a family story, which I absolutely enjoyed and really felt for. Just how caring they were and how like it all worked out for them in a way. It was very sweet to me. I enjoyed like the writing. It was very easygoing, very nothing confusing about it, and like very easy to follow, and it was enjoyable. The story itself wasn't that like super interesting. I didn't think the plot was like blow me away or anything like that. I was actually kind of bored and like not interested in like the reveals, and I even felt like we didn't even get like proper answers. We kind of just like concluded a tiny part of the plot, and I just felt like there was so many things unanswered. And I guess obviously this is the first one in the series, so I understand that like more will come later, but it was just like it didn't give me enough to like be fully engaged with like the plot. I also feel like the world could be built a bit better. We got to see such a tiny piece of it, and yes, I do get it's an urban fantasy, so like it's secret from human society, etc., but it was just like, oh, the fair like this, And I was like, okay. And I had so many questions, but I felt like no one were answers because our main character knows basically nothing about the Fae except that she is Fae. And I was just like, okay, that is fine. But I would just assume she would have more questions. She was very much like, I don't care. And I was like, okay. So even though she didn't want to be part of that world, I would still think that a person would want to know more. But it's also, you know, so the author can obscure stuff off. Overall, I did enjoy like the characters and the story enough to keep me going. And it was okay. It's just like the conflict in the world just didn't keep me like fully interested in the story. But it was like an okay book overall. I was entertained. I was fine with it. I guess I like the happenings and the developments for like the characters the most. But I wish there was more of the world is what I'm trying to say. So it was like totally fine made book for me. I guess now we could pull the next one. I'm trying to find the wheel and spin. We got An Inheritance of Ash and Blood. I don't know when I will start it. I'll probably start tonight when I'm home, but not now because now I'm going out. I am curious. You shall see me talk about it soon. See you later. Okay, hello. It's like 2 days later because I took a little reading break or like I read other stuff on manga. Read very little yesterday. So I today finished Inheritance of Blood and Ash. And I'm gonna talk a bit about it because that's why we're here. So the first thing the book opens with is that this is a sequel series to another series that the author wrote. And I was a bit put off by this because it means that the things that is now happening in this world is the consequence of things that happen in another series. It says we can read this without reading the other one, but I still feel like there's still pieces missing because since you didn't read the other one, you don't know how we got there. And it also said that why the main characters are not, of course, the main characters in the last one. A lot of the characters we see in this one was in the last series. And obviously, I don't have any attachment to this because I haven't read the last series. And I always prefer for series like this to read from the beginning. You know, like in the realm of the Elder Rings, even though the first Fifth series and the Ship of Destiny series don't really like follow the same people, I would still prefer to read it in the order they were written to get like the whole view of the whole world. And again, since I didn't know any of the characters in the last one, I didn't know which history they had. I had a feeling like some of them probably mean more than I thought, but for me they were just a dude, you know? And therefore I feel like maybe the attachment I was supposed to have with them, I didn't really feel anything. I felt a bit put off by this, and I definitely could feel like the gaps in the story because I feel like I didn't really get to know the kingdoms and like the side characters a lot. And I don't know if it's because we're soon know or because it's not important, but I feel like I didn't get a full overview of the world. That can also just be that the full overview of the world is not there. It might not be related to the fact that it was another series before, but it is just an observation for the series. Either way, this follows 3 main characters basically. We have 2 dudes that are brothers and they're the son of one of like the dukes and one of the kingdoms in this. And then we have 1 girl point of view and she is the sister to also another king for some other kingdoms in this series. And it's basically just like, what you can say, political turmoil, war is coming, there's like 1 enemy in another kingdom again, I think. And then also like the brother dude of the girl character, sorry, the names just kind of escaped me a bit. He's kind of also like, I would say, evil on the rise a bit. He's clearly like ill, so there's like a lot of turmoil between the different kingdoms, etc. How these characters growing up, there's like, they actually skip a few years like throughout the book as well, so a lot of time passes, and like it does say which area in, but I also feel like, I don't know, time passed very fast for me. I was like, oh, it's been 2 years, okay. And I feel like I actually missed that it could have slowed a bit down and like told us more about like what they were doing in this time, but we didn't really get that. And I just overall didn't care for this world because I didn't really know what these kingdoms meant. Like it's just like we have all these like names for different people and they're kings from different places or dukes or whatever, but the places don't mean anything to me. So like when 2 people didn't like each other, or like when one person was going to marry someone else from another kingdom, it didn't have any meaning for me because I really didn't know what relations they had in the past. I didn't know like yes, there was a map, but it's like, it doesn't help to look a map of Europe with a bunch of names if you don't know anything about Europe, you know? So for me, I was just struggling with like knowing the importance of things happening. And I feel like there just wasn't enough plot. And I didn't feel like I got to know the characters that well. Like after a while, I did get like a hold of the 3 main characters, and of them I like the girl character the most, even though I feel like at first she was really just like, I don't know. Like, one of them is like the second son of the Duke, and then one is the third son, and he has magic. And then there's a girl character, and her character is just like to come back and use his skills as a pretty woman to be able to fool this stupid man in a way. And I liked her character the most, I think, but we got to see so little of her, and it was actually a bit sad because I enjoyed her, and then I never got to see her and like get to know her a lot. But like, while I did got to know like these 3 people, we have a lot of like, I was going to servant and other people around them and advisors, and I feel like I had a hard time keeping it all in check. And there's like a dramatis personale in the beginning. I had to go back to that to look at it for a bit after reading for a while, because I was like, I have no idea who these people are, and like it did help to give an overview, but I hate going back on Kindle, by the way, because it is a pain. But that is not, I mean, if I had a physical copy, that wouldn't be a problem. But overall, it was just a lot of people, and like it was hard to see the relations to each other. It was hard to care about what these people were going to do and what was happening in this world, because I like didn't feel any connection to it. It was just very like, I actually didn't see almost like the point of like the point of view. I didn't really get what they did. Like, did they do anything with meaning? I actually don't know. So it didn't like completely match with me for these reasons. And I thought at first like it seemed like a cool thing happening, because there's some like cool magic stuff in there, but it was just so breezed over that I was just like, what? I don't know. So overall, just feeling like it didn't give me anything, and I was quite frantically in the end just a bit bored. I wanted it to be over, which is a bit sad to say, but I mean, I read it and like I thought I could see some potential in some things I would like, but they weren't developed enough for me to actually get to the ones I know what I want to like. And that is my overall thoughts for Inheritance of Ash and Blood. And now we're going to spin this wheel. I know that I still don't have one of the titles I'm supposed to read in the wheel, because again, physical copy has not arrived and I don't want to read it until I get there. Let's see what we get in this wheel. And we got Dark Strider. I realized all the colors are off in this wheel as well, but it's fine. Dark Strider. No idea what this is about, but I guess I'm gonna go find out and keep you updated. Okay, so I finished Dark Strider. It is the next day. It is a bit late again, and I finished it. I couldn't finish it last night. It was too late. It follows our main character, Mikael, that ends up on a different planet. They call him an off-worlder, and he's definitely from our world, but he doesn't have any memories of our world. But he makes references to stuff we know, so we know he's from our world. And then this is a progression fantasy. It's like literally in the title of the book, which means that, you know, they build upon, like, they have like a certain, I was gonna say, a level of power, and then it builds upon it. And he starts off the bottom and has like the opportunity to build upon his power, which is like, it kind of promotes itself as a progression fantasy a lot. So you would expect like to see development and world building there. But then basically it's taken in by these people that kind of live in the mountains and starts training with them. Among them is like a really known warrior type that is like a high level of like in this world. And yeah, a conflict ensues for different reasons. And we have him like training and like getting to know this world, etc. While still not having memory of ours. And I was actually really intrigued of it in the beginning. It had like an interesting starting point. I really liked how we got into this world. Like the main character had like a bit of humor in him. And it was an interesting concept overall. But to be a progression fantasy, there's really not a lot of progress. And I was very disappointed in that regard. Like I was over like 55%. And I was just like, how you be promoted as progression fantasy? There's no progress. And I'm like, please give me something. It's a disappointing thing to say. Like, I was really intrigued because Anna has like, he can see people's levels on them. A bit like, you know, when you press another character in like World of Warcraft, you can see like what level they are, what they can do, etc. And he can do that. He kind of has like a voice in his head, like kind of like a computer that speaks to him. It was like such an intriguing thing. I'm like, give me more of this. It was barely there in the book. And I was just like, what did we have? I don't know, like a snowstorm running around, like a weird like rivalry with another character. It was not a lot of progress, and like we even like didn't have my proper training lessons. We didn't need it, but it would be more interesting. I don't know what we were actually doing, and it was like almost a 500-page book, and I'm like, what did we do in all this time? I honestly don't know. And then it was like battle stuff in the end, and there is this kind of thing that happens in like the end, like the last battle. I can't say it because it's a spoiler, but a thing happens there that kind of turns the whole story on its head, because kind of something new is introduced that I guess maybe not was hinted at, but we clearly knew there was something more to this world. We just didn't know what, and that we didn't really get answers, but we got something new. And I was in the hell like, what? I don't even know what happened there. I don't even know why it is there. It was something new. I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense. I have no idea. Like, at the same time, very surprised, a bit annoyed. I don't understand. I honestly don't. That was very off-putting. Well, at the same time, I guess interesting. But then again, it's not explained, or like, I don't think particularly done that well. So I was just very confused of what was going on there. You could see tidbits of so many interesting parts of the story. The magic system was really interesting. The characters had some charm in them. But then, like, you know, like, one of the most interesting characters was Jackson, who was like the experienced fighter. And then he was like barely in the book after a while, and I thought that he was like supposed to be there more, and I was like, I want more of him. It's like in Art of Prophecy with Wesley Chu, we had like the expert. And then she was there a lot, and I loved to see like her experience, like a bit of a grumpy older mind. And here we like didn't have that, and I missed seeing that as well. So I don't know what we had. Overall, just a lot of potential that I felt like went nowhere. There was really no progression in it. Even like in the end, I'm just like, okay, what did we start with? This. And in the end, yes, we had some progression, but I'm like, we are basically almost in the same place. Almost, not completely, but it didn't give. It wasn't like amazing. I don't know. But we can pull for the next book now, which will be the last for this vlog. Let's see what we have. Let's spin the wheel. Okay, that's spin. I'm very excited. What can it be? The Youll Prince. I have no idea what that is about, but we shall find out. It has a cool title. Hello! I finished the Youll Prince. So that means that this vlog is over for now. I will return soon with my next SPFBO vlog for the next 5 books I'm reading for this round. For this part of SPFBO is what I can call it. And I ended up not enjoying the Youll Prince that much. It was an Emma book though, so plus points for that. It had smut. Out of nowhere. I didn't expect it, but it was there, and I guess plus point for that, because I always enjoy some weird and funny smut. But overall, like, the story was really weird. It follows a main character that finds out he's Fae, and then he has inherited this place, and he's basically a prince, and that's it. It's very short. It doesn't develop anything. The plot is really weird. I don't know. The structure of the story is weird. In the first 4%, we had like his mother abandoning him, his father dying of cancer, his brother cheating on him at his father's funeral. And I was like, in 4%, I was like, okay. So I feel like all like stuff that should really mean a lot didn't have like any weight for the main character. So I wish that things should have just slowed down, developed more, written a bit better. And then I feel like there could have been cooler story in there, but ultimately it didn't work for me, sadly. I liked the cover, and I liked that it was queer, and the smut was a bit funny. But they were all fast. It was fast developments in it. But yeah, I just wanted to add that I wish that the plot had either been like less trying to make it emotional and just go full on the romance and make it completely invested in that instead of halfway on each. Then I think the story would have worked better for me. That is my thoughts for the 5 SPFBO books I read in this vlog. Favorite ended up being, of all of them, Regeneration, and it was literally because of the found family aspect in it, where like we had the really found family aspect actually, and it got me. That is my favorite so far, so we shall see what I feel moving on. I don't love any of them either, I am sorry. So I'm just feeling like really neutral, and like nothing has like really captured what I love in a book yet. So hopefully I will find that in the next 5, who knows. And that's it. That's my thoughts for this vlog. I hope you have enjoyed. Leave a thumbs up emoji down below if you have liked this. You should see me soon in a new one. And yeah, goodbye, good night. See you soon.